Liz Cheney continues to bash former President Trump and other Republicans while hinting that she may run for president. The CDC has issued new mask guidelines that most people have already been following for months, plus new census numbers show that some blue states will be losing power. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday. I hope you're having a great week. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to start with Never Trumper Liz Cheney because she continues to bash Republicans. This lady holds a GOP leadership position. She continues to bash Republicans, and you have to ask, how long is this going to go on? How much more will she say before she is finally ousted from that position? Because if you recall, she is one of only 10 Republicans to vote to impeach the former president after January 6th. She was one of them. She continues to bash the former president, and she alienates the Republican base. She does this every chance she gets. Now, after that impeachment vote, there was outrage. The GOP House caucus, the word was that they wanted her out, that they had the votes to get her out. Well, then the hammer came down because we're all about unity, and she kept that position. But did she change her ways? Did she actually start bringing Republicans together? No, she continued to bash former President Trump. Recall these comments about former President Trump speaking at CPAC back in February.
Congresswoman Cheney?
That's up to CPAC. I've been clear in my views about President Trump and the extent to which following January 6th, I don't believe that he should be playing a role in the future of the party or the country.
So, what's she up to now? Is she fine-tuning that Republican message? Is she working on strategy to get more Republicans elected? Nope. She's out bashing Republicans again. And here's the story. Representative Liz Cheney said the Senate Republicans that led the January 6th effort to object to the Electoral College results should not run for the GOP presidential nomination in 2024. Ms. Cheney, the number 3 Republican in the House, refused to shut the door on a presidential bid of her own and said the GOP will have a field of interesting candidates to pick from. I do think that some of our candidates who led the charge, particularly the senators who led the unconstitutional charge not to certify the election, in my view, that's disqualifying, she told the New York Post. So, she's calling out senators who led an unconstitutional charge. And regardless of what she's done in the past, that statement right there should get her out of the leadership position because she doesn't understand the situation and she doesn't understand the Constitution. Speaking out about the election is not unconstitutional. Challenging the election results is not unconstitutional. In fact, the Constitution was the guide in how to do it. And here's more. I think that adherence to the Constitution, adherence to your oath has got to be at the top of the list, said Ms. Cheney of Wyoming. So I think, that certainly will be a factor that I'm looking at, and I think a number of voters will be looking at as they decide about 2024. The comments appeared to be directed at Senators Josh Hawley of Missouri and Ted Cruz of Texas over their objections to the certification of the Electoral College results, which coincided with the riot at the U.S. Capitol. So, she may disagree with those objections. You may disagree with those objections. But the point is, what Hawley and Cruz were saying was not unconstitutional. And this looks more and more just like a play to draw attention to herself and alienate the vast majority of the Republican base, which she continues to do. This week, there's a GOP House retreat, and she was asked to describe the current Republican leadership. And here's Cheney.
The Republican Party is headed by Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy in the House. I think our elected leaders, are the ones who are in charge of the Republican Party. And I think as we look at 22 and 24, we're very much going to be focused on substance and on the issues. And I think that's where we've got to attract back the voters that we lost in 2020 by conveying to them that, in fact, we are the party that they can trust. We're the party of competence and of conservative principles.
Well, Mitch McConnell may be the GOP leader in the Senate, but he is certainly not the leader of the Republican Party. And statements like that do nothing to bring the Republican base together. Remember, the The Republican base, the ones you need to get out and vote, the ones you need to work the polls or go door to door, she does nothing to bring the base together. In fact, she tries to alienate them. I don't know who she thinks is going to vote for her if she ran for president. But here's the thing, folks, and I want your thoughts, your comments, because you have to ask yourself, how much longer can this go on? How much more will she say before she is finally ousted from her leadership position? Because she does not deserve to be there. She should be gone now. So, will she continue? Will someone finally rise up? Will Kevin McCarthy and the other leadership say enough is enough? Or will this go on? Let me know in the comments. All right, next let's talk about the CDC. But first, if you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified. We're making our push for 150,000 subscribers, and we can do it with your help. All right, let's talk about the CDC because they have issued new mask guidelines which don't make any sense and don't follow the science. And here's the story. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, issued updated guidance for fully vaccinated persons on Tuesday, recommending that they continue to take precautions such as wearing a well-fitted mask while in indoor public settings. While the agency said fully vaccinated people would generally no longer need masks outside, the recommendation came with a significant caveat, except in certain crowded settings and venues, recommending them to continue to avoid large public gatherings altogether. So once again, we have this case for the vaccine. Get the vaccine. The vaccine works. The vaccine is awesome. But then we're being told to live your life as if the vaccine doesn't work. No large gatherings. Still wear a mask. What kind of sense does that make? And here's more. In indoor public spaces, the vaccination status of other people or whether they are at increased risk for severe COVID-19 is likely unknown, the CDC guidance states. Therefore, fully vaccinated people should continue to wear a well-fitted mask, cover coughs and sneezes, wash hands often, and following any applicable workplace or school guidance, it adds. While the guidance states that a fully vaccinated person can visit with members of an unvaccinated household without wearing a mask, it recommends masks to be used for visits involving unvaccinated people from more than one household. So as I pointed out on a recent show, the CDC data, their own data, not their political statements or influenced by the Biden administration, just raw data, of the millions and millions and millions that have been vaccinated, only 0.007%, 0.001% ended up getting COVID. In other words, if you're vaccinated, you have a 99.993% chance of not getting it. You're not going to get it if you're vaccinated, so stop living like you will. It doesn't make any sense at all. And these people, Biden goes out and gives statements, acts like he's granting us freedoms that we already have, and most people are living by anyway. But it's not about the science, it's about optics and compliance. Look at this recent tweet from Walensky, the CDC director in Biden's administration. Look what she posted. Congratulations on being fully vaccinated. You should always wear a mask over your nose and mouth when in public settings, including public transportation. Until we get a large enough percentage of the population vaccinated, it would be difficult to say when we can stop wearing a mask. So the percentage doesn't matter, folks. There's all sorts of studies on mask wearing out there. You can dive into that. But one thing is clear. If you're vaccinated, ditch the mask. So yesterday, Biden was talking about these new CDC guidelines, and here's what he said.
If you're in a crowd, like a stadium or at a conference or a concert, you still need to wear a mask, even if you're outside. But beginning today, gathering with a group of friends in a park, going for a picnic, as long as you are vaccinated and outdoors, you can do it without a mask.
Well, whoop-de-doo. Biden's basically saying, comply and we'll grant you freedoms. Then later on in his comments, he adds that, you're not just getting vaccinated for yourself, you're getting vaccinated for others. Wrong. If you want to get the vaccine, get it. If you get it, you're not going to get COVID, so it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing around you. Live your life, ditch the mask. That's what's going on. All right, next let's talk about new census numbers because it shows that the blue state exodus continues with these new numbers. And why wouldn't it? Who wants to live in these states that continue lockdowns, that have high taxes, that have left-wing indoctrination in place of education? Well, the new census numbers have come out, and it shows that a number of blue states will be losing representation in Congress based on the new data. And here's the story. The U.S. population may be growing more slowly, but it continued its 80-year-long trend of shifting to the South and the West. The snapshot tells a familiar story. Americans have moved out of the industrial Midwest and Northeast, chasing jobs, more affordable housing, growing new suburbs, and vibrant cities. Florida, Montana, and North Carolina each saw enough growth to add a congressional seat, while booming Texas gained 2. Colorado and Oregon also gained new seats, while Michigan, New York, and Pennsylvania lost seats. So the big winner is Texas, gaining 2 congressional seats, and there are a number of blue state losers, including a historic loser. And here's that. But strikingly, the longtime symbol of Americans' search for the new and the next wasn't part of that story. California's growth rate wasn't enough to retain its 53-seat delegation in the House. The nation's most populous state lost a congressional seat for the first time in its history, a fact that is already forcing debate over whether Democrats' control of state government is to blame. Good news for the balance of power in the shift in control that could happen in the 2022 elections, because now with the new census numbers, these states will redraw district lines and subtract some in some of these blue states and add 2 in Texas. Most of the states do that through the state legislatures, and places like Texas and Florida and North Carolina that are gaining seats are controlled by Republicans. So that is the good news. And one more time, let's put this map up there and show you where things stand. These are the states that will gain and lose seats for the 2022 election and beyond. Great news for Texas and Florida. Not so good news for lockdown states like California, New York, and Michigan. Can the Republicans take the House? There's a good chance. There was a good chance before, and now with these census numbers, it looks even better. All right, so next, let's talk about some cancel culture, wokeness, snowflake mentality. But first, I got to give you a disclaimer, folks. I'm a Texan, and I'm also a Texas Aggie. My undergraduate degree was from Texas A&M, and I just want to say that in no way, in any shape or form, had any influence on this next story. It just so happens that this dumb story that shows the snowflake, wokeness, cancel culture just happened to be going on at the University of Texas. I didn't plan that. I can't help it, but here it is. It's the Eyes of Texas, the song the band plays at football games. Remember the controversy? Some band members didn't want to play it. They said it was racist. They were making a big stink about it. So, fortunately, some alumni stepped in and said, give me a break. We're not going to have that. We're going to play the song. So, you think that the issue is solved, right? Nope, not at the University of Texas. It's just beginning. Rather than tell those students, hey, play the song or else get out. Nope, there's snowflake mentality. And here's the story. The University of Texas at Austin has announced that it is in the process of creating a second marching band, separate from the school's current Longhorn marching band. The currently forming unnamed band will provide an alternative involvement option for students who want to participate in marching band at UT, but who do not want to play the school's controversial alma mater, the Eyes of Texas. The Eyes of Texas, typically played by the Longhorn marching band at football games, came under scrutiny at UT over the last year after the wave of George Floyd protests. Can you believe this? Their solution is to create a second band. We'll call it the Snowflake Band, because that's what it is. And here's what's going on. The left knows this. They know if they cry enough or scream enough or get angry enough, people will cave in. Administrators will cave in. The woke end up ruling and sanity loses. Can you believe this? A second band, and here's more. In efforts to compromise with members of the marching band who continue to believe the song is racist, the university will create the second marching band, which will not be required to play the school's fight song or their controversial alma mater. The band will be designed for individuals who want to perform in a marching band with a focus on leading and directing bands and community engagement, according to the announcement on UT's School of Music page. So there you go. I assume that their actual marching band is going to be the one marching at the football games. So I don't even know where this one is marching at all. Who knows? Folks, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, and when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified. And we'll see you next time. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour. Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified. And here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-minute news hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you next time.